The moment my coworker took credit for my work, the entire room started clapping. Our manager looked impressed. People around the table nodded in approval. And there I was, sitting quietly, listening to someone else explain an idea that I had spent 3 weeks developing. For a few seconds, I could not believe what I was hearing. He was presenting my project, my research, my solution, word for word. But what happened next was something he definitely did not expect. Because sometimes karma arrives much faster than anyone anticipates. And in this case, it showed up before the meeting even ended. My name is Daniel. At the time, I was working as a project analyst in a mid-sized company that developed digital products for businesses. The job required a lot of research, planning, and presentations. Most projects involved teamwork, but occasionally, someone would be assigned a specific problem to solve independently. About a month before the incident, our department received a challenging task. One of our biggest clients was struggling with a serious technical issue in their system. The problem was affecting thousands of users. Management wanted a clear solution within a few weeks. My manager assigned the investigation to me. "Daniel, you are good with complex systems," he said during our meeting. "Take the lead on this and present your findings when you are ready." I accepted the responsibility. At first, the problem seemed complicated. There were multiple potential causes. Several departments were involved. But after days of analysis, I started seeing patterns. Gradually, the solution became clear. I spent long evenings reviewing data and testing possible fixes. By the end of the third week, I had a complete strategy ready. A detailed presentation, clear diagrams, and a practical solution. Everything was ready for the upcoming meeting with senior management. During that time, I occasionally discussed the project with a coworker named Rian. Rian worked in the same department. He was friendly, confident, and very talkative. At first, I appreciated his interest in the project. Sometimes he asked questions. Sometimes he offered suggestions. Most of our conversations happened casually near the coffee machine or during lunch breaks. I explained parts of the problem to him several times. Looking back now, that was probably my first mistake. A few days before the big meeting, Rian asked a simple question. "So what is your final solution?" I explained the main idea. The technical adjustment, the system optimization, the long-term improvement. Rian listened carefully. "Wow," he said. "That sounds impressive." I thought nothing of it until the meeting started. The conference room was full that morning. Our department manager, 2 senior directors, several team members. The atmosphere felt serious but optimistic. Our manager opened the meeting. "We have been investigating the client system issue," he said. "Today we will present a possible solution." Then something unexpected happened. Rian stood up. "I would like to walk everyone through the proposal," he said confidently. For a moment, I thought he was introducing my presentation. But then he connected his laptop to the screen, and the slides appeared. My slides. The exact presentation I had created. The same diagrams. The same explanation. Even the same wording. For several seconds, I simply stared at the screen. Inside my mind, one thought repeated again and again. Is this actually happening? Rian began explaining the entire solution. Step by step. Just like I had planned. Nobody in the room knew the truth. To them, it looked like Rian had solved the problem. People started nodding, taking notes, impressed. And when he finished speaking, the room filled with applause. I felt frustrated. embarrassed, angry, but I stayed quiet. Interrupting the presentation would have created a chaotic scene. Instead, I waited. Rien looked extremely confident as he answered questions from the directors. Then something interesting happened. One of the senior directors, David, asked a technical question. Rien, can you explain how the optimization algorithm adjusts during peak traffic periods? Rien paused. Just for a moment. It was a very specific question, one that required a deep understanding of the system. Rien gave a vague answer. David nodded slowly. Then he asked another question. Which performance metrics did you monitor during your testing phase? Rien hesitated again. This time the pause was longer. The room grew slightly quieter. Rien glanced at the slides, but the information was not there, because those details existed only in my research notes. David leaned back in his chair. Interesting, he said calmly. Then he looked directly at me. Daniel, you worked on this project as well, correct? Every person in the room turned toward me. For a moment, I simply nodded. Yes. David smiled slightly. Perhaps you could explain the testing methodology in more detail. That moment changed everything. I stood up slowly and walked to the screen. Then I explained the full technical process. The data analysis, the performance measurements, the stress testing, the system simulations, all the details that had not appeared in the slides. Within 2 minutes, the entire room understood the truth. Rien looked extremely uncomfortable. The directors exchanged glances. Our manager raised his eyebrows. David asked one final question. Daniel, did you create this presentation? I answered honestly. Yes. The room became silent. Rien looked down at the table. And at that moment karma arrived. Immediately, publicly, and completely. The meeting ended very differently than it began. Rien did not say much after that moment. The directors thanked me for the work and asked me to continue leading the project. Later that afternoon, my manager called me into his office. He apologized for what had happened. Apparently, Rien had approached him earlier that morning claiming he wanted to help present the solution. But he had never mentioned that the work belonged to me. Rien received a formal warning from management. His reputation in the department changed quickly. People noticed what had happened. Trust is difficult to rebuild once it is broken. As for me, the project moved forward successfully. The client implemented the solution, and the system problem was solved. Looking back, the experience taught me something important. Sometimes people try to take shortcuts to success, but real understanding cannot be copied. Eventually, the truth appears. And when it does, karma often arrives right on time. Workplace situations like this happen more often than people think. Someone works hard. Someone else tries to take the credit. But the truth usually finds a way to reveal itself. If you were in that situation, would you have interrupted the presentation immediately? Or would you have waited like I did and let the truth come out naturally? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy real stories about workplace drama, unexpected karma, and satisfying moments of justice, subscribe to the channel, because the next story might be even more unbelievable.